you ready. I know you ready. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the April 17, 2019 regularly scheduled meeting of the Daytona Beach City Commission. We are delighted to have each of you with us this evening. At this time, I would ask that Ms. LaMagna would review our procedures for tonight's meeting.
Good evening. Agendas are available in the front of the room on the table to my right. All of the exhibits pertaining to items on the agenda are posted on the bulletin board. Please feel free to view the exhibits at any time during tonight's meeting. You are required to fill out a yellow form to speak before the City Commission during the business meeting. The yellow forms are located next to the Assistant City Clerk, Ms. Allison Brown. You must complete the sections that ask for your name, address, agenda item number, signature, and date. The form must be completed and placed in the designated box. Items on the agenda for first reading usually do not allow for public participation. However, there are some instances where citizens are allowed to speak on first reading items when they are considered public hearings. Items on the agenda for second reading are open for public hearing, and citizens may speak at the designated time. Resolutions under administrative items number 10 are open for public comments, and you may fill out a yellow form to speak when that item is called. Item number 7 is your opportunity to address the City Commission concerning any item on the consent agenda. Please indicate on the yellow speaker sheet the agenda item number of the item you are addressing. Items or discussions not listed on the consent agenda will not be heard during this comment section. All citizens completing a yellow form will be allowed to speak for 2.5 minutes. When you approach the lectern, please speak clearly into the microphone and give your full name and address. The 2.5-minute clock on the monitor above and directly in front of you will start running when you begin to speak. Pay close attention to your time. You will be told when your time has expired. Item number 13 is the public comment forum, and it will convene after the adjournment of the business meeting. This is the opportunity for the public to speak on any issue that is not on the business meeting agenda. All citizens completing the green form will be allowed to speak for 2.5 minutes. When you approach the lectern, please give your full name and address. Disorderly conduct in the public meeting of the City Commission. Article 2, Section 6238 of the City Code of Ordinances reads as follows. It shall be unlawful for any person to behave in a riotous or disorderly manner in any public meeting of the City Commission, or any committee, agency, or board thereof, or to cause any unnecessary disturbances therein by force, shouting, or any other action that is calculated to disrupt such meeting, or to refuse to obey any ruling of the presiding officer or such meeting relative to the orderly process thereof. Please be courteous and respectful of the views of others. Personal attacks on City Commission, city staff, or members of the public are not allowed. Please silence cell phones and other wireless devices during the meeting. All conversation must take place either at the lectern or on the dais so that everyone can hear the business being discussed tonight.
Ms. LaMagna, may we have a roll call?
Commissioner Traeger? Here. Commissioner Delgado? Here. Commissioner May? Here. Commissioner Gilliland? Here. Commissioner Henry? Here. Commissioner Reed? Here. Mayor Derek L. Henry?
Here. We will now have the invocation led by Commissioner Reed, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Traeger. Please rise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Oh, gracious Father, once again, we come before your throne and we say thank you. Thank you for all that you've done, all that you're doing, and all that you shall do. And thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to serve, because service is the price we pay for the space we occupy. And I say thank you for being able to serve. In Jesus' name I pray for his sake. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the March 20th, 2019 business meeting of the City Commission. So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner Gilliland. Any questions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those who are in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. This motion carries 7-0. We'll now move on to agenda item number 5. If there are any changes to our agenda, our city manager will address them at this time.
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gilliland, and we'll take a second from Commissioner Traeger. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, we'll now move on to number 6, which is presentations. Though it's not noted, we have a special presentation from myself, Ms. Denmark. Is Kim Denmark here? Would you please, yes, come forward. That was you. Glasses are foggy. Good to see you. But anyway, we have a very special presentation tonight for Ms. Denmark coming from the city of Daytona Beach. And I want to read this into the record in recognition of Kim Denmark Walk Across America campaign. Whereas Kim Denmark has been working diligently to raise awareness and action in the fight against homelessness across the United States. And whereas Kim Denmark addresses issues of welfare, homelessness, homeless veterans, and poverty, and is dedicated to encouraging the creation of new legislation related to quality jobs, adequate training, and health care for the poor. And whereas Kim Denmark is walking through 49 states, stopping in various communities to bring attention to the poor, less fortunate, and indigent. And whereas Kim Denmark has set an outstanding example for other citizens and inspires them to learn about and join the fight to end homelessness. And whereas Kim Denmark is dedicated to encouraging new legislation relating to quality jobs, adequate training, and good health care for the poor. And whereas Kim Denmark has chosen to attend the Daytona Beach City Commission meeting on April 17, 2019, to bring attention to what can be done to help eradicate homelessness in our communities. Now, therefore, I, Derek Henry, Mayor of the City of Daytona Beach, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby recognize the tireless efforts and sacrifices of Kim Denmark and her Walk Across America campaign, and urge our citizens to join Kim in her fight to end homelessness. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Daytona Beach to be affixed this 17th day of April 2019. I would like to add that because of this great cause, which is in absolute congruence with the mission of this committee, of this commission, which we have established through our budgets, through our priorities, through the building of a homeless assistance facility, which we hope will be opened later this year, as well as a long-standing commitment to doing all that we know to do to end this dreaded condition of homelessness in our community. Because this is in congruence with us and the values of all of Daytona Beach, gives me great honor, in addition, to share with you our beloved key to our city. Okay, we will give Ms. Denmark just a few minutes to address us as it relates to what she's been doing here. Thank you.
Unexpected, everybody. Totally unexpected. First, let me give honor to God, who is truly the head of my life. I could not be or have come this far without the Lord on my side. I would like to thank the mayor. I would also like to thank and acknowledge the city commissions as well as the city manager's office. I definitely would like to thank Chief Capri and Officer Jeff Cahill, who set up the officers. We did a march this weekend, or Friday, with 100 students from FASA, F-A-A-S-A, from all over the state of Florida. It was beautiful. So I would like to thank Jeff Cahill for assisting in that, as well as Jeff Millar, Adam Dororsky, and Ryan Forrest. Thank you so much. And with me today, I have a very dear friend who just got on board for the march and the walk, and her name is Pam, and her husband, Bruce, was not well tonight, Jenkins. And they're locals, but they're from the West Coast, which is where I'm heading. I would also like to thank Dr. Fordham, who's in the back, Bethune-Cookman College, very well known, and all of you others that have quietly behind the scenes participated in assisting me. My name is Kim Denmark, and I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and I began this journey 16 years ago, walking city to city, state to state, and no one knew I was out there. I was a business owner in Dayton, Ohio. I was very successful, a staffing agency, but I was very nasty. I was very arrogant because my business made it. And instead of helping and giving back, I chose to put it on my back and buy expensive cars and elaborate clothes, and it was all about Kim. And one day there was a gentleman in my neighborhood, I found out later he was a veteran, and he offended me for asking me for a change, and I threw it at him. Had no idea who he was, but it didn't matter. I know today. The Lord convicted me for that one behavior, and as a result I became ill. And sometime to get your attention, you will end up in a position that you have no control. I was on my back. And through that process and a series of events, the Lord was able to talk to me and give me a second chance. He completely healed my body. And all he said was the people I abused and stepped on and ignored were not mine, but that they were his. And I would now walk for those people. And in 24 hours, I left that beautiful home in Dayton, Ohio, my cars, everything. In the snow, I thought I was insane. And the news reporter showed up, and I remember walking in the snow and falling down because I was 70 pounds heavier. And every step I took, I would fall in the snow, and I would cry and stand up. And I didn't understand it. And I said to the cameraman, "Can you hear what I'm hearing?" He said, "No, I can't hear it, Kim." I said, "You can't hear that voice saying walk? You can't hear the Lord saying, let the people know I love them, but let them know I'm coming?" I said, "I'm sorry, you can't hear it, but I'm going." It wasn't until spring I crossed into my first state, and I kept walking and kept walking. By summer, people began to come out of the woods with AIDS and cancer, and that were homeless. And as I began to interview these people, if I interviewed 10, Mayor, 6 served in the military. I said, something's wrong here. And I said, well, it's no good to walk. Why walk and not help them? So I began to take accolades and awards and approach city council and say, can you help me help this family? Can you help me get this lady out of her car at Walmart? Can you help me with this veteran who fell through the cracks? My walk across America is about love. It's about reaching out and never forgetting that veteran who's serving right now in the front line for us, but somehow they've fallen through the cracks. In closing my story today, I'd like to say I have completed 16 states, 5,460 miles. I'm on my 30th pair of shoes. And as you can see, they have holes in them. Why? I don't ask for nothing but food and water. And this wonderful woman came along, and she's now organizing me after 15 years. So that maybe, because I keep wearing New Balance, I'll get a sponsor. I tore their shoes up, I know that. I would ask each and every one of you, when you see a veteran or you see a homeless person, do not judge. You don't know who that person is. They may have served 2 or 3 tours. Be careful. But take one day this week and reach out to a homeless person and say, I love you. If they smell and have an odor or they're intoxicated, doesn't matter. They're human. And it's somebody's relative. You guys, I love you. I have an announcement to make. Today is my kickoff. I'm now heading to the Ellen DeGeneres Show in Burbank, California. I should arrive between December and January. You guys pray for me that I make it. I've made it 16 states. What's a couple more, right? I love you all, and God bless you, Mayor. Hope to see you again. I'm coming back for that grand opening.
Okay.
Please invite me, guys.
Yes.
I love you guys.
Love to
Thank
have
you.
All right.
God
Thank you.
bless.
Appreciate it. God bless.
Okay. Moving on to item number 7. This is citizen comments. Public comments made by people addressing the City Commission. During this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the City Commission on any item that's on the consent agenda. Our first speaker is John Nicholson, speaking on item number 8B, and on deck is Ann Ruby.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. I'm happy that we're getting grants for this, but I also want to ask you to try to get a grant for JAC, Jack, Juvenile Assistance Center. At the Faith meeting, Chitwood mentioned that it would be great to have it. Talked to our police chief, and he said, yes, it would be valuable. We have a piece of property right there on Nova, right next to the police station for that area that is vacant. It's the old driver's license place. I would ask you to think about working with the county on getting a grant to open it so that it can better. It would be better to serve our youth. I worked 20 years as a teacher. Anything and everything that we can do for them, I would be in favor of, which if we do that, only half the parking lot, the other half of the parking lot, save for which coincidentally you have at the end of your agenda, the track and field. I'd like to make a track and field park right there. That area that they use for testing would make a great little track, and there's a big linear park that goes like 2,000 feet. So if we could turn that into a park for the residents, and there's a track club, give them opportunity to use those sheds and create something new and different for our kids. So I'm asking you to do 2 things. One, ask for funding, grants, for a juvenile assessment center. I think that is valuable. If the county police chief thinks it's valuable and our police chief thinks it's valuable, I believe it's valuable. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Ann Ruby, speaking on item number 8A.
Hi, Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. This is another one where they racked up big fines, 15,000. We're reducing them to 2,500. You know, code enforcement's a big issue. I know the goal is to get the repair done, get it in compliance, not to be punitive. But at some point, unless we start really charging people significant money, the compliance will come more slowly. Like, the compliance will be slower if they know they can rack the fines up to 15 and take that time, and they'll just get reduced. So I just think maybe we need to examine how fines are assessed and when they get reduced. And that's all. Thank you. Oh, no. I still have time. One more question. There was that initiative on the part of the county, the property appraiser, so that if the city incurred an expense to bring something into compliance, we can put it as part of the tax lien. And that was thought about, and I don't know if are we participating in that?
You can respond.
Go ahead,
Larry.
First, in response to Ms. Ruby's first comment on the lien reduction, that is a case where the property owners demolished the property and brought the property completely into compliance, spending over $24,000. So there were some other factors on that. With regard to collections through the non-ad valorem tax assessment program, we did pass an ordinance adopting that.
Okay.
My next speaker is Doral Lewis, who's speaking on item 8B.
Good evening, Commission. I'm speaking on item 8B because of one reason only. America's the youngest country in this entire planet, this entire world. Do you understand that? The entire reason why we are young is because we want to stay young. We want new paint and we want new intelligence. I'm questioning why you want to follow electronic monitoring on intelligent young people. That's exactly what I'm reading here. Juvenile electronic monitoring. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This is their minds, not yours. Why are you trying to reteach them so you can actually steal their money on their intelligence? Electronic monitoring for what reason on the young? Explain this to me. My name is Doyle Lewis, and I'm very intelligent on this part. Can anybody explain why you're trying to make money off the young? My name is Doyle Lewis, United States, Daytona Beach. Stop stealing their intelligence.
That was my final speaker for the consent agenda.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gilliland and a second from Commissioner Reed. We have no questions or corrections. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, moving on to item number 9, which is our public hearings. Item number 9A is the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division Land Development Code Text Amendment, amend Article 4. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending the Land Development Code, amending Article 4, Section 4.9.d, Scenic Thoroughfare Overlay District, to amend the permitted plant material, specifically placing restrictions on cypress trees, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner Gilliland. No questions or comments. We have a speaker.
I do have a speaker, Mr. John Nicholson. Oops, sorry. Crowding you.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. About 20 years ago, maybe 25, there was a comment made by staff to get rid of all pine trees in the city because during hurricanes and storms, they break and they cause problems. The remaining pine trees that we as the public saw was basically along ISB. Now, they virtually vanished. The college just took them all out. The high school took them out. So we don't have pine trees anymore. They have withstood hurricanes for years and generations, and now we're wiping them out. They are native. Cypress trees, we've basically cut them down, and we don't want those. We will end up with what we went through several years ago. My red bay trees vanished. There's a bug that came through, and the avocado industry vanished. And years ago in Miami, their palm trees started to vanish because the lethal yellow came in. So I'm worrying about what we're doing in decoration, because right now the landscaping has these purple, what we call beach lilies. They're putting them everywhere. You get the stinkweed and the purple beach lilies. What happens if some disease comes and wipes them out? We're going to end up with the point where we're not going to have trees, because God knows what God is going to give us in terms of diseases and whatever. So I would not like the idea of limiting what we put. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was my only speaker for the item, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second. No further questions or comments from the commission. All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. This motion carries 7-0.
Now move on to item number 9B. It's the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division Land Development Code Text Amendment, amend Article 5. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending the Land Development Code, amending Article 6, Section 6.10.J.2.C.3 to switch one digital billboard location from Clyde Morris Boulevard and West International Speedway Boulevard to Fentress Boulevard and West International Speedway Boulevard, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gilliland and a second from Commissioner Traeger. Do we have any speakers?
I have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicant for any questions, and then I do have one additional speaker, Mr. Doyle Lewis. Mr. Lewis, did you want to speak on this item? Of course. 9B. Okay, thank you.
Because if I'm up here speaking, my name is Doyle Lewis, United States of America, Daytona Beach. 9B.
You done
Wow, I
reading
got
it
2
yet?
minutes.
Go ahead and read
The
it.
entire reason why I speak is so I don't get interrupted.
Well,
If I pause because I want to.
okay.
The billboard, which Flagler County actually been staring them down regularly, why would you need a billboard in electronic age when you can do electronic everything? You don't need a billboard. What's the billboard for? So somebody can find out where nothing is? All you got to do is punch a button on an electronic device. There doesn't need to be a billboard there at all.
Jesus, dog.
I heard that. Billboards have been being ripped down regularly because they looked odd and they're not natural. There should not be a billboard there. If you don't know how to use an electronic device by now, you should learn. Have you ever cut a signboard? I have. It's like metal. It's 1/2 inch thick. Does anybody understand this on this board? Have you done it? I have. I put it inside a paint booth. I paint cars for a living, and you drive one of them. This billboard does not need to be there. Go electronic. Go forward. Why do you need a big old spot to say, I own this town? Thank you.
That was my only speaker on this item, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We have any additional questions from the commission? Motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. This motion carries 7-0.
Okay, moving on to item number 9C. It's the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division Land Development Code Text Amendment, amend Article 6. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending the Land Development Code, amending Article 6, Section 6.10.0, comprehensive sign plans, to allow for a comprehensive sign plan for college or university properties that are not contiguous, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Traeger and take a second from Commissioner Delgado. Do we have any questions or comments?
I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicant if you have any questions. And then I have one additional speaker on this item, Mr. John Nicholson.
Mr. Nicholson?
This is John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. This is basically clarification. This goes back about 40 years ago, give or take, and the businesses on A1A had to take down their LED signs. So we went 20, 25 years without
LED signs 40 years ago?
Pardon?
LED signs?
Yes.
40 years ago?
Uh-huh. They were little tiny, about yay wide, remember, Ruth? And then the messages came right across. Ruth, you're over 40. But anyway, the big thing was they tracked, and people could get distracted while driving. So for years we didn't have it. So the question here on this one is, I understand LED is everywhere, And I don't have a problem with that, never did. But the question is, we were only allowed on Beachside to have it if it was on your property, okay? This is now saying that universities only can have signs off properties. That's, if I'm reading that correctly, because I couldn't understand your backup material. So we changed the law several years ago to allow these LED large signs. That it became everybody could get one as long as you had X amount of property. So the colleges are getting this ability to go off, but it doesn't say how many signs they can have. So I'm asking, is there a limit to the number of LED signs that they can have off premises? You understand what I mean? If you could, if you own a property like when they were renting next to the mall, Embry-Riddle had a property. If they wanted to put a sign there, I could understand that. But now, off limits and how many is a bit confusing. So if you could explain that, please. Thank you.
That was my only speaker on this item, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, you can have at it.
John's benefit, I think he's asking a question that really is about something different than what's before you tonight. This is Rob Merrill, 149 South Ridgewood, Cobb Cole. On behalf of Embry-Riddle, this is not an electronic message center sign request. First of all, this is twofold. This item and the next one are essentially amending a comprehensive sign plan that has been long ago approved for the university, which did in part include electronic message center signage, but this is not what's before you today. This is the new worldwide headquarters site that they acquired, which is on Bevel Road, near the entrance to Pelican Bay, I'm sorry. And in fact, we purchased a building there for that purpose, and it's slightly off the campus. When we did the university's plan, it said contiguous on the description, so we're having to change that. It's still a university property. It's going to be a property I think everybody will be proud of, and I know you guys are partners with the university, and so we're here to simply adjust this plan that's got a lot more signs than this one particular sign, but that's what we're here for, is this one tonight only, non-electronic.
Yeah, gotcha.
Does that help, John?
Got it?
Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. This motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Moving on to item number 9D, it's the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Comprehensive Sign Plan. This is a resolution public hearing. A resolution approving the Second Amendment to the Comprehensive Sign Plan for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University to include a sign and sign details for a property that is not contiguous to the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University main campus and is not currently included in the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Comprehensive Sign Plan, repealing all resolutions or parts of resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Traeger. Do we have any speakers?
I don't have any speakers, but I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here on behalf of the applicants.
All right, we have a motion and a second. If there are no questions of Mr. Merrill, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. This motion carries 7-0.
Moving on to item number 9E, it's a City Attorney City Code Amendment, Chapter 62, Article 2, Section 6234, Possession of Cannabis and Paraphernalia. This is an ordinance on second reading, public hearing. An ordinance amending Chapter 62, City Code, to amend Article 2, Section 6234, entitled Possession of Cannabis or Paraphernalia, to amend the penalty provision to be punishable by civil fines only, not exceeding $500, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
All right, we'll take a motion from Commissioner Gilliland, and we'll take a second from, we'll say Commissioner Delgado. Do we have any questions or comments from the commission before speakers? Okay, who you?
I do have one speaker, Mr. Joe Hanash.
Joe Hanush. I just wanted to say that I'm glad Daytona Beach is taking the lead on this, setting an example for the rest of Volusia County and other municipalities. This is really not about smoking weed. This is about people being, remaining with their families so they don't get arrested over something really small. About keeping their jobs, they're not missing work. This is about allowing police officers to focus on much more serious crimes. It's about reducing taxes as well. And I just want to say that, thank you all for doing that, and I hope this passes. Thank you very mumuch.
That was my final speaker, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Do we
I
have?
had a little question at first about what these mega cycles were. That's what we're on. We're not on. Okay.
No, we're not on that.
Next one.
I'm ahead.
All right, it's all right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Moving on to item number 10, which is our administrative items. Item number 10A is going to have two ordinances that I'm going to read into the record. The first ordinance is from the Development Administrative Services Planning Division. This is an ordinance on first reading, an ordinance amending Section 10.5 of Chapter 10, Alcoholic Beverages, of the City Code of Ordinances by including an exception for consumption of beer and wine on commercial megacycles, providing for conflicts, codification, and severability, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
All right, well, the motion from Commissioner Reed, second from Commissioner Henry. All right, do we have any questions or comments from the commission?
I had a little
Commissioner
question
Trey.
about why they would change the pedal bus to a megacycle, and it was told that you can either use pedal or electric to get around on that. Then I looked into a little bit further, and finding their route is mostly on the beach side, including into the neighborhoods, and that concerns me a little bit. I know they only say beer and wine, but you can get pretty rowdy or sick on either one of them, and I don't like the idea of it going through the neighborhoods and disturbing the neighbors.
Yeah, if I may, Dennis Mrozek, Planning Director with the city. Well, first, the megacycles, we're using a definition that's a Florida state definition, so I think you've got that taken care of. The routes that they would take, what we're doing over here is defining an area that the route could possibly take. They have to submit that to the city for review. The police department will review it, and then that would get approved with part of their permit process. The routes that they'd be taking would be more of commercial routes, going from one facility to the next, and not through the residential neighborhoods. We would restrict them out of those residential neighborhoods, but still have the flexibility with this ordinance to allow a larger area for them to operate.
So what I'm hearing is that there is each time they have to get a permit for this each time?
Well, they would designate a route that they're going to be going
Okay.
on. The city would review it and approve that route, and that's the route that they would be taking.
And so we have
it would be a
oversight.
consistent route that they'd be
And
taking.
so we have oversight
Yes,
as it relates
yes,
to that? Okay.
Exactly.
It said on the beach side it would be Atlantic Avenue to the east, Peninsula Drive to the west, Plaza Boulevard to the north, and Fraser Road to the south, the Main Street Bridge, and Mainland Beach Street to the west, Fairview Avenue, Main Street to the north, and Orange Avenue to the south.
Yeah.
I don't know about so much on the mainland, but it includes a lot of neighborhood on the beach side.
Keep you on the way.
Well, when they come in for their permit, they would decide the specific route it was they were going to be going on. The beachside area, those boundaries that you just mentioned, was the entire beachside area that they can choose from, but it would be staff that would be reviewing that route to make sure that it would be acceptable as part of their permit process, and that's required as part of this ordinance for them to go through that.
Okay, so I'm understanding it differently. So we're saying that is not in fact the route, that is just the boundaries.
Those are the boundaries.
Okay.
The route
All
would
right.
occur
And it would
somewhere
be
in there,
within
and
that
staff would
boundary.
review that to make sure it's not in those residential neighborhoods.
Dennis, is the route itself, the permitted route, is one that's approved by staff? As long
Yes.
as it's within those
Yeah,
boundaries?
staff, we run it through various different staff, including the police department, to make sure they're acceptable to that route.
So if we identified a boundary that was greater or maybe not contiguous necessarily to this one, in other words, like the Speedway, one Daytona area, would we need to identify that here in the ordinance as it goes through?
If we were going to expand that boundary, yes, we'd have to identify that right now, and then we'd bring that back in the second reading with what that expanded boundary would be.
I think that's something we might want to consider, Mr. Mayor.
Well, yeah,
I'm just curious about something because this is something interesting to me. They would actually bike from point A to, oh, thank God. I was like, my God, these poor people. Jeez. Okay. Sorry about that. So if I'm not sure. Okay, so maybe you know. So, one sec. So they would actually be on the property of the Speedway, correct? And doing this concept. Is that what we're saying?
If it were to be expanded.
They could be in public right-of-ways, or they could be on Speedway property, providing Speedways, allowed that. to
but
occur.
this takes an amendment to that.
Okay.
To do that. We want to amend that into this agreement. I guess you guys can do that and bring it back to second reading. We don't have to.
Mr. Mayor, I was going to bring that up
You were?
because there's been a desire expressed to, on Speedway property and One Daytona to have the opportunity to do this as well. And, certainly with the number of visitors that we get like about 11 million that roll through Daytona Beach, a lot of those are out there in that part of the western part of Daytona Beach. I would like to see this amended to include, the Speedway and One Daytona, and then, of course, there's going to have to be some way they could get across, ISB. But if no one objects, I would like to, when it comes back on second reading, well, I don't think we have to do it as a motion. I think we just when it
do
comes
it?
back on second reading,
Okay.
I'd like to see this,
Expanded.
this section 102, I lost it. I lost the section. But the section that defines the boundaries to, to include, that as well.
We can do
Is
that.
there any time defined in this from what hours to what hours? Are they going to be running through the neighborhoods at 3 o'clock in the morning?
The objective is to not have them run through the neighborhoods. And when you talk about the addition of One Daytona, that's not a neighborhood
Yeah, but
area. So
each side is this,
you feel as though the streets that they're naming are neighborhoods that you're feeling that.
yes, there are neighborhoods.
The route would actually be defined in their permit.
So each time, one more time, so I'm clear. So each time that they apply to do this, there'd be a designated route. And if it's going through a neighborhood, since we're understanding that's not necessarily our thing here, but it gets approved by city staff.
Yes, the routes would typically be along commercial corridors going from location to location. It wouldn't be going through the neighborhoods. It would follow the commercial corridors, but within the boundaries that have been defined by the ordinance.
And I'm getting the sense that as the Daytona Beach area expands, shall we say, that they might be allowed to go to other areas that are kind of commercial entertainment areas, something like this? It feels that way right now.
Yeah,
Is that what that's where we're headed? Okay, I just want to be clear. All right.
Yeah.
I have a question for the commission
Yes.
as well. State law, we're essentially doing this to come in line with state law with regard to commercial mega cycles. So the state law would allow you to authorize full alcoholic beverage sales. The title here, we've limited it to beer and wine. We could go full alcohol, or we could limit it to beer and wine. So I'd like some direction on that from the commission or staff.
Any thoughts?
I don't see the difference between saying beer and wine and alcohol consumption. If the state, you say the state permits,
The state would permit full beverage consumption.
I'd let the market take care of it. I mean,
And I just want to be clear, the people bicycling are not drinking.
No, just the riders.
Under the
I'm
ordinance-
having visions right now.
Under the ordinance as it's drafted, obviously the driver has to be someone employed by the company who cannot be involved in consuming the alcoholic beverages by law. They also must have an assistant on board with the passenger. So 2 people are required to be from the company on the
So
vehicle.
one to restrain, okay. All right.
Yeah, so we don't mind if they imbibe Jack Daniels or Budweiser, that's what
I'm
y'all
also
are
having
saying.
visions of everybody wearing helmets while they're on this thing.
I'd like to know if they have a preference. I'd like to know if the
Owners, if the
owners,
applicant.
whatever, have a preference. Because we're saying beer and wine.
Could you come
Could you
up?
come up?
And would you say your name and address for the record,
Sure.
please?
I'm Tom Caffrey, 816 Main Street.
Krista Goodrich, 2800 South Peninsula.
Okay. She's asking, do you have a preference as to which of these is that?
We hadn't talked about liquor till just now. I actually would, my preference would be beer and wine, just because of the volume of alcohol, of liquor.
Yeah.
But I also understand from the state perspective, if someone brings a Coke on the bike, I don't know if they have vodka in it or not. There's no way for us to tell that. So I think it would be very hard to stop it. Whereas if we know it's there, we know it's going to be on the bike, then we could monitor it a lot better. So from that perspective, I think it might be a good idea to allow it. I'm going to try to guide our people to beer and wine only because that was our intention. Even in our starting point, that's only beer and wine. Yeah.
So for clarification, you're not serving them.
We don't serve any alcohol.
You're just driving them around, just
Yeah.
pedaling around.
Yeah.
It's what they drink.
Correct. That's what
That
they
we're
drink.
okay.
Yeah.
I was having
The driver
visions,
doesn't-
were
we
you?
don't- We don't have the driver.
I already I understood that part. That was null and void.
That you had,
I never
end at
thought
10
that.
PM. Our tours end at 10 p.m. They will always end at 10 p.m. for the same reason that you're worried about. We don't want to be driving around late at night after 10 p.m., not just us, but other people that are driving around. And to answer your question on the routes, none of our routes go through a residential district at all. We're all,
As of now.
we're not changing that.
I mean,
So
yeah.
But I mean, there will be probably other
They won't be as good
companies
as us.
coming in also. And maybe they might not be so
Yeah, that's-
cognizant of the neighbors as you are.
To your point on that, the bike is an entertainment value, and there's zero entertainment of riding down a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
One of the neatest things about being on this bike over the last 2 or 3 weeks since we got the initial approval on it is the photos and the video captures of the people on the side of the street enjoying it, waving, the cars honking and laughing and having a great time about it. On a side street, we're not getting that. So our ultimate goal, and I think even for anybody coming into this, would be that in order to increase business, right? So side street is not going to increase business. It's going to deter the people that live there because of the noise volume and all of those other things to want to be involved. And there's absolutely no, I can't see any benefit to being on a residential street at all to anything.
business that comes
Even if it was a shortcut, it doesn't make any sense. And
For exposure.
yeah, it's just zero. I mean, yeah, zero benefit.
It might not, but it's included in there.
I think they're just, my understanding was that was the boundary, but like when a company like us comes in and sees you can go as far south as this road, but I don't think the city would ever have said, and then you can turn on Grandview. Like if we would have turned in that route, I don't think the city would have approved that. I think you guys have the discretion to not approve that, is my understanding.
Well, the staff would do that, not us.
Yes, the
This
city
would
staff.
be approved by the staff, the route, not
Yes, ma'am.
us.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And what I suggest is, I realize that we have to allow staff to have some latitude. If we receive complaints about it, then we have to tell them that has to be eliminated. But, I suggest we allow them to go ahead and have the purview that they've turned in to us. That's what I suggest.
I do not see where this would be any benefit to the neighborhoods of Daytona Beach.
We don't go in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, we don't go in the neighborhoods. But do you mean as a business overall?
As a business or anything, I don't see where this would be any
so-
benefit to the residents of
So
Daytona Beach
let me-
at all.
Let me speak to that just briefly. So when we do our tours, we do a historical tour. So like one of our main current routes, we leave at 816 Main Street, we turn on A1A, and we stop at the Streamline Hotel. And we tell our visitors, which frequently come from Palm Coast, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach, and tourists, the history of the Streamline Hotel. Then we turn and go up to either Landshark or the Ocean Deck to present them with some great food opportunities in Daytona that most of them, if they're new, aren't aware of. Or for the Palm Coast people that came down, they said they haven't come. It was a group of grandparents, and they don't bring their grandchildren to Daytona Beach because they find it dangerous. So on our tour, we show them beautiful places that they can go to and appreciate our town again. That group all reviewed us on TripAdvisor, you can read it, and said we're going to bring our grandkids back to Daytona Beach, which is a value to the city. Then we leave from there and we either go to the Hilton or various routes that we go on A1A typically, and then we bring them down on Main Street and we show them our biker bars and we give them the history of like the Boot Hill Saloon, which has a really fun history with the Boot Hill Cemetery across from it. And we've done a ton of research about it to share this history. It makes Daytona become more family centric. It's not just a party booze cruise of craziness. It's a learn about our city and see what we have to offer. And that, I think, is a benefit to, I'm a citizen of Daytona Beach, and I think it's a huge benefit to our city.
I also think it's different seeing something from a bike perspective, since we are promoting more of our trails and whatnot. I think it's different seeing it from a car where you might miss it,
Yeah,
right?
there's not really a way to learn about the city unless you just happen to be a history buff that likes it.
What's the cost for a ride?
You book the whole bike, and you have to have a minimum of 8 people, maximum of 15 people. It's $350 right now. It'll probably go up to $400 because we're $200 cheaper than St. Augustine. But we are new, and we're dealing with that we can't have alcohol, and they can. So there's certain things that have to make us be a little cheaper right now.
Okay. I want to ride.
But we actually brought the bike over today. It is in the parking lot because we knew you guys might have questions. So
Already seen it.
We should get together and
Yeah,
take
let's
a
ride.
tour.
yeah, and we should do it. Yeah.
I'm serious.
No,
I am too. I want to go.
We can't go and take a
I'm
tour.
going to say a sunshine law.
We want to
No.
talk about agenda.
That's
Yes,
not
I don't
something
know
can
about
advise
that.
Under the sunshine law.
Yes.
So if everyone's
You're telling me, hold it. We have a right to socialize as human
No.
beings. We're not going for a meeting. We're going to tour
Our city.
our city in a new venue. Now, there has to be a way for this to even be legal.
I think Bob's angling for an invitation to the city attorney's office so that
We'll
they
take
can come
you with
along.
us.
Huh?
So I think Bob's angling for an invitation for the city attorney's office so
There
they
has
can
to
come
be a
along.
way.
No, it certainly wouldn't violate the law if there was no conversation among the commission of items which may come before the commission.
Yeah.
So that would not be a sunshine law violation as long as you didn't talk business, if you will. So it can't
Yeah.
be done. It just creates a perception.
I'm not going
and
down that
policing issues.
You know me and my position.
We'll take you with us.
Well, yeah, you can go with us, but I just, I do believe now,
I'm going.
we have to sell this town. This is part of our job, and these people are bringing in what I believe is something that is vital. The things that you all have described is important to our posterity as a community, that we're promoting who we are. And I don't think there's any better way than for the 7 of us to get on and ride and say, come and learn about Daytona Beach.
But we have to take Bob because it's a minimum of 8.
You can film it, you can put it on social media, we can be recorded. We don't,
Yeah.
I got other things to talk about than this, what's going on up here.
Let's promote it.
So, hey,
We were going
okay.
to invite you, actually, while we're here.
Ah.
We would love to invite you guys to come out, and I think then any questions or concerns you have about it, I think we'll offer a much different light. We would also love for you to see what we've done on Main Street. The gyms have visited our location, and what we've done on Main Street is pretty phenomenal. You walk in, and it's not like anything you've seen. It's gorgeous. It's the direction I think the city's headed. The compliments we've got have been phenomenal, and I think it's just a really all-around good thing for the city. So we'd love for you guys to come out and try it. And again, that's why we brought it here today, so you could look at it and see what we're talking
Hey,
about.
well, if we can't come, I'm going.
I'm
Give me a crew and go.
Why don't you give us the name of your business, man?
Yeah, so it's Hopsicles. You can book on hopsicles.com.
That's ridiculous.
It's on Main Street,
Yeah, on 816 Main Street.
816 Main
816
Street.
Main Street.
What's
And
the
we
website
do,
so I can look it up?
yeah, it's Hop Cycles. We do cross over to Beach Street as well. That was part of when we initially came to the city. We said we not only want to revitalize Main Street and make it a happening Main Street that's as nice as every other beach town's Main Street, but we also want to do the same for Beach Street. Even though we're not located there, one of our tours does cross over to Beach Street and hits, like McKay's just got their brewing permit, I guess. So we go there for to see them. We go to Wine Me. There's certain places on Beach Street just to bring those businesses, some new tourists that wouldn't have known about the places on our Beach Street as well. So we have crossed the bridge to join Main Street and Beach Street, even if there is some drama between the two areas.
Email, you got an email address?
Yeah, it's hopsicles@gmail.com.
Hopsicles,
Hopsicles@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're together. Oh, that's right.
Let's book it.
we'll book a trip.
I'm serious. I'm actually serious. Let's
Next
do
Wednesday.
it. Saturday morning. Yeah.
Wait till after that. I'll
Be
call
great.
I'll be working.
And,
So, any other questions
okay.
that you have for us?
Do we have any other questions? Did you have your questions answered,
Yes, I
Commissioner
did.
Traeger?
Thank you.
Thank you all, and congratulations, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thrive.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, right?
We have a motion and a second for the first ordinance.
Yes.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second.
Mhm.
All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
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 Those who are in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, the next ordinance that's part of this item is ordinance on first reading, an ordinance amending Article 4 of Chapter 102 of the City Code by redefining pedal buses as commercial megacycles and revising certain regulatory provisions, providing for conflicts, codification, and severability, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Gilliland. I didn't hear a second.
I think it was from Commissioner Henry.
Commissioner Henry. Okay, motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Mayor, if I may, before we take a
Yes,
vote,
sir.
I just want to be clear as to my direction. I will revise for second reading the ordinance to provide for full alcohol open container on the vehicle, and also create an area for the speedway. We'll create a zone which you can review at second reading. And with that in mind, you may move forward with that.
Okay. All right, that is it. No other additions to what he said? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Vote on the floor. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Both of these ordinances will come back for public hearing on May 1st.
All right, we'll move on to commission
No,
inquiries.
we have one more item. We're going to move on to item number 10B,
Oh, my bad.
which is the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, Minto Tomoka Parcel B, Second Amendment to Minto Tomoka Parcel B Plan District Agreement. This is an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance approving the Second Amendment to the Minto Tomoka Parcel B Plan District Agreement to allow clustered townhomes as a permitted use on the property and incorporate additional residential lot development criteria. Authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the Second Amendment to the Minto Tomoka Parcel B Plan District Agreement, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gilliland and a second from Commissioner Reed. Do we have any questions or comments from the commission? All right, hearing none. All those who are in favor of this, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. The motion carries 7-0.
The public hearing is set for May 1st.
Okay, now we'll move on to commission inquiries, commencing with Commissioner Traeger.
Well, I went to the opening of the new Barnes & Noble up at Daytona Tomoka Town Center. Very bright, very energetic, a lot of programs planned for both the children and the adults. And I'm sorry they had to leave downtown Daytona, but it's a beautiful new place.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Delgado?
Good night, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Commissioner May?
I just wanted to say thank you to city staff because we've been getting letters of compliment and recommendation from residents that we've worked on almost on a daily basis. So the residents, they're doing really well. They're happy. Tomorrow at the Hard Rock, there's going to be an event put on by Housing Authority where they will bring in 57 investors and developers to take a look at attainable housing. So we are moving in the right direction. So that starts tomorrow at 8 a.m. at the Hard Rock. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Gilliland?
So I think we all know the Indigo Golf Course has been closed for 6 months or so. And Jim, to the best of your knowledge, we haven't had an application submitted by Colin John or any of his corporations or anything.
We have not.
So when we do get one, please let me know. The manager and I both got a certified letter from there's actually, it's broken up into units out there. There's 7 separate units. One of them actually does not have an HOA. The other 6 do. And we received a letter from them, which I know you got it too. If we could share a copy with everybody on the commission. It's signed by all 6 of the unit presidents, expressing their opinion of the summary that I presented after I met with the, about the proposal that they would be submitting sometime around now. And I will just leave it at that. The letter speaks for itself. But it is, I want to make sure everybody has kind of all the information that I have. And I do expect, I actually expected them to submit application around the 1st of this month. So they're a little behind where I thought they would be. It is looking pretty ragged out there. We talked about, getting code out there to take another look, see if it's time to, cite them to have them mow again. It is, it's frankly disappointing, that golf course had been around since the about 1980, I think, maybe late 70s, and it was, it's disconcerting. There was actually a deal for where Consolidated was trying to sell the LPGA courses, which would include what they bought from us for $2.5 million, plus what they already owned. The deal was for less than what they paid us for all of it, and the deal fell through. So they have another person who is, or another entity that's very interested out there, but this is it's a tough time for golf in this country. Thank God Tiger Woods won the Masters.
I know. It helps golf.
We have hope. We have hope. When Tiger plays well, golf does well.
Goes up.
So, but Jim, you wouldn't mind sharing a copy of that with everybody? I would appreciate it. I think we also saw an email from somebody about the water deposit, and we talked about this before. It seems to me that you don't pay a bill, the next bill you get the pink bill, and then if you don't pay that one, then it gets shut off. I would rather us have, particularly for residential, a deposit that's 2 or 3 months of historical usage for the property instead of this meter size thing that we're doing, because they're not necessarily fair, particularly for somebody that's going into a small unit. I know somebody bought a house in, help me out, Paula, behind Tuscaloosa, Daytona Highlands, and her deposit was like $400 for a 1,100, 1,200 square foot home. And remember that never we just hold that as a city forever. We don't get it back until you close your account, then we give you your money back. So I think it's something that needs a little attention. I don't think we certainly want to deposit. We certainly want to protect ourselves financially, but I do think that it is somewhat high, particularly for smaller unit dwellings or smaller dwellings, because they get hit with sometimes things that are simply not affordable. So they had this big event where there was like a bar crawl on bicycles down on the beach side, and I've actually gotten about 5 or 6 complaints from people that said it was fairly unwieldy, and I'm not sure who the promoter was of that event, or if that was just something that was done on Facebook or something like that, but we need to be a little cautious, because from what I gather, there was like a couple thousand people on bicycles going bar to bar and drinking, and from what I gather, it got a little congested, I think would be the easiest way to say it. But I think it's something definitely that worth looking into if that type of event happens again. And that's it. Good night.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Henry.
No comments.
Commissioner Reed.
I'd like to go back to what Commissioner Gilliland just said in regards to that water department. If I understand you correctly, you said let's give them 2 or 3 months of usage and determine on a scale of what that deposit would be.
Well, if it's a home you just bought,
Mm-hmm.
the prior occupant had water service.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the historical usage for that property, if we collect 3 months, there's no way, it's unlikely we would get behind where we wouldn't, because you can get 3 months behind before we turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I did the math right.
I'm in agreement with you. I thought that was extremely high, $300 and some odd for a water deposit.
Yeah.
But the water bill is high enough as it is. When I first came home, my water bill was $18. My family was asking me, was I bathing? But that was 24 years ago. Are you doing laundry? Anywho, I wanted to mention that at the Faith Assembly, that the mayor, Commissioner May, and I were there to represent the city of Daytona Beach. And from the county council, we had Barb Gertman, Billy Wheeler, and Heather Post. And what we all reiterated was affordable housing. So it seems to be on the tongue of our community, and we're moving in the right direction to try to help our citizens in that regard. The only thing I had a question about was the testimony was from somebody from Deltona, but yet Daytona is who they hold to the fire every time we have these faith assemblies. And to piggyback on that, Mr. Mayor, as you indicated to them, out of the 16 cities, we're the ones that are leading the initiative for the housing for those that are homeless, and even talking about affordable housing. So I thought they should have had a Daytona representative to talk about affordable housing. Commissioner May, you took mine about the housing fair tomorrow. I'll be there after I teach my class. On Sunday, the mayor and I and Billy Wheeler also attended the Highlands picnic, or they say they're a residential they're not a home association, they're a residential association. And it was a nice picnic. It normally is. The weather upheld for that. I do have a question, though. Are we doing anything to support the gala for the Honorable Joyce Cusack and her retirement of 18 years of serving the county? I didn't know if we were getting a table, if we're doing an advertisement, doing a sponsorship for that. Had anything gone to the manager? We doing a proclamation or?
Well, I'm gonna be doing a presentation.
Okay.
Presenting her with a presentation.
All right.
From the city, and
Okay.
I think we should. I will be there, and as well as my wife. So we should get a table to the gala. I don't know if any of you else want.
All right. I hadn't heard anything. I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay.
That concludes my comments.
Okay. Very well. Where are we? Well, first I will say that as it relates to faith, I agree, and I did say to them that I think it's only fair that they would encourage all of the other municipalities in Volusia County. I said to them there are 16 municipalities, and you know, we're not the only one that needs attainable housing, and we're not the only one that and we have other partners who are working with us to address homelessness, but Deltona has a problem with it, and they should be at the table, and they should be coming up with strategies just as we are, and that's not to try to throw them under the bus, but the reality is that, you know, we are showing a commitment as a commission and as a community to endeavoring to help ameliorate the conditions of the people who live in our community, as well as those who work in our community, because we know that a lot of these people in these other communities drive into Daytona Beach to work. I can't tell you how many people that I meet who work in Daytona Beach at, say, Trader Joe's or at One Daytona, and they don't necessarily live in Daytona Beach or in any number of our hospitals. It's just talk to people and you will see that they don't all live here, which is one of the reasons we talk about residents first. We do want to take care of the people who live here also, but we want to support people who work here, who live here, who visit here. All of us who come here are invested here. But in addition to that, it's important that they all be held to the fire. And I don't mind going to faith because I tend to agree with what they're after, but if it's important that we all be pushing others in that direction. I wanted to ask a question. Where are we on the Orange Avenue Rec Center? I know we've talked about it. We need to discuss this because there is a proposal that I think will be worthy of our consideration if we as a commission decide to go in a different direction. As many of you may know, the Daytona Beach Veterans Museum, which is located down on Beach Street, is fast becoming, and I did my first community highlight on that particular facility because it's just a fabulous place to visit right now, as it is. They're getting more visitors, more artifacts on a daily basis, and I think it has the potential to be something of a hotbed for tourism in our community. But I say all of that to say that their current landlord, who is Dr. Waba Waba, has basically told them that they have about a year that he's going to have to do something else with the property. And he's given them for $1 a year. I don't know what it is up there.
He's been fantastic.
At least 5,000 square, maybe 10,000. I think it's closer to 10,000 square feet of property. But I'm saying that to say that they will soon be homeless within a year. So we want to consider if this is a property that we're going to keep. We need to know if it's something that we can keep. So if you could tell us where we are, because I think they would be a potential great customer with the potential to help us. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I think we're negotiating a contract right now with a consultant who will do the analysis of the facility and make a determination of what the costs for renovations or improvements would be to the city and get that information back to us.
Okay. All right. Very well. So once that transpires, then we have to engage in a dialogue about what we want to do, if we want to keep it.
Yep.
And for me, this is a very viable option that we should consider. Considering this bridge is going to be really special, taking forever, but it's really going to be a special place, and it could turn into a highlight of how we highlight and how we as a community embrace our veterans. Now, I still believe, and you know, they talk about different things. I do believe that we need to control, and I hope that we do gain access to our ability to control the island. But it also will go a long way to say that we are committed to sharing this resource with our community. Doesn't mean that this will be the only thing that takes place, but this will be an important, I think, could be a major gesture to say this is an additional way that we're expressing that the island belongs to the people, but it also needs to be something that we can utilize to a more fuller threshold to maximize the potential of redeveloping downtown. So there's some other things that we can do as a community, but we're going to have a lot of discussion. But this would be a good faith effort, I think, if it could turn to fruition to maybe do that.
I have a
Yes,
question,
ma'am.
I'm sorry. And was this just, just for me to think about it as we go through the next few weeks before this comes up? Would we be paying for that, or is that...
That's
we don't
all
know?
a part of the discussion. It's
Okay.
conceivable. We have to decide. We would have to decide whether we're going to pay for it to keep it anyway. But it's conceivable that people may be willing to pay to have it renovated if we're going to pay to say if we're going to allow them to be there. But we have to determine whether this is something that we would consider as a commission, whether it's going to be convenient for our community. Certainly, I don't think we should necessarily pay for all of it, but remember, it is our building, and we do have to bear some of the responsibility for its condition. Any other?
I think it would fall under ECHO grants as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to look at that could happen.
But I concur with you.
Yeah.
I'd like to have that discussion once we know what the price is.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it'd be
And then whatever the price is, could be conceivable that they could raise the money.
Exactly.
Because people are interested in this. That place is a special place. It's really, and the men who take it, who have invested their lives in it, they are just totally inspiring. Well into their 80s and 90s, but just men of the highest character that I've essentially fallen in love with.
We had a Veterans Appreciation service at Embry-Riddle this week, and General Flowers came and spoke to us. And he started his life as a sharecropper raised by his grandparents. And he was in the Air Force for 48 years. He went in at the age of 17, working in the, just like in the lowest position you could be in, and raise himself up to a general. And that was a beautiful service to see all of the different services represented. A cappella sang every song for every branch of the military in a cappella. It was absolutely beautiful. So I totally concur. I can see it as a memorial mall or some sort that we would recognize our people that have made the greatest sacrifice so that we could be free. Because freedom is not free. Somebody paid for us to be free.
Absolutely. Okay, any other questions or comments? Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, just one thing in the foyer out front is some material on the half-cent sales tax for infrastructure improvements for roads, water, and sidewalks in our community and other communities throughout this county. But there's a lot of information out there. I want to remind those of you who are in the audience, if you have a moment, to run by and take a look at it, because it might help you.
What time is that meeting, sir? Is the time listed here? Is it 5:30 or 6?
For right now, it's going to be out here for tonight's presentation here.
Okay, because on the front of this, I'm not seeing a time. I'm
No,
sorry. Okay.
it's just on display today.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, and the Riverside, the Esplanade, today I was able to go by, and little Derek and I, that place is going to be, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a beautiful place and a great asset to our community. All right, this meeting is adjourned. We will convene with the public comments as quickly as possible.
Our first speaker tonight is John Nicholson, and on deck is Marjorie Johnson.
Is that the melanin lady? All right, I got your message. I'm with you. I'll be getting with you. I apologize. I knew you would have.
Give it 1 second, John. Okay.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. There's something wrong with you guys' speakers. It sounds funny in the audience. Several things. One, take the bike tour. Seriously. You're allowed to do it legally, as long as you don't discuss anything that's coming up before the board. Have at it. Enjoy it. Years ago, Scarlett Golden, when we were getting the Peninsula Club, stood on the front porch and said, God, look at those houses. They look terrible. She hadn't realized how far the beachside had fallen. So she got a new aspect by looking at it. I think you all, being on a bicycle, will see things that you would not see riding by in your cars. So I'm asking you to do that, and also, in the back of your mind, take a look at the condition of each side. Secondly, I want to thank the mayor, because at Faith meeting, he did say, share the wealth, in essence, that all of us, all the cities, need to look at affordable housing, not just the city of Daytona Beach. So I want to thank you for that. And lastly, I'm asking you to put a committee together and look at the highest and best use of all city property. I brought this up 30 years ago or whatever, with the idea that we look at the properties and make sure that they pay for themselves. And then along came Zipline, and it literally does pay for that park, the maintenance of that park. So I'm asking to look at all of our properties to see how we can make it better, more useful, and more amenable to the people that are using it. Because we look at it one way, and somebody else would say, God, a little miniature golf course would be here, this would be there, parking spaces could be there. So I talked to Keith for about an hour, and there are things that he's doing that were on my list. So I'm asking you to think about that, like the track, the property for PAC. There's so much that we can do. We have the property, and for little or no money, I'm not asking you to spend a ton of money, just a little bit, to make those properties the highest and best use that we could possibly use. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Marjorie Johnson, and on deck is Patricia Hurd.
Greetings, Marjorie Johnson, 122 South Peach Street. I would like to say that panhandling is still going on. At the Walgreens store on International, I've been approached 3 times there, and I did explain to a young man that he could go to jail for panhandling, and that there was a new law on the books. So they're panhandling over there in front of that store, and I reported it when I went inside. I'd like to see more professionalism going on here among the mayor, the city manager, and the commissioners. I'm not happy with what's going on as far as this agenda. The fact that you have adjourned the meeting and then you let the residents who are paying your salary speak afterwards, because we didn't have this for years until these new people get here. And I feel this is disrespectful, and I'm not happy about it. I was here at City Hall about a week ago, and I asked for a public records request. I wanted that information because I'm always up here requesting records to find out what's going on here in this city. And I looked at the list of people who owe the city money. And Ruth, I did not see your name on that list.
Of course not.
I don't know if you paid the money.
That a long time
No, but it was on there, and then evidently you paid it. But I did see your name on there, Derek. You owe the city money, $82, and I wrote it down. There's some change. You need to go look at the list. You know, I saw all the people on that list who owe the city money. I asked for that, and it's on there. So we want to make sure that you all are paying up and that you are responsible for the people that you are supposed to be here representing. Service is the price you pay for the space that you occupy. You're just not here occupying space. I rode through Midtown today, and those streets are in deplorable condition. I went down Freddie Moore Street, all cracked up. I went down the street that I usually lived on. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I came there down the street there by Checkers and Martin Luther King, all cracked up with big holes. Some of you have been here. My commissioner, Ms. Reed, has been here 6 years, and the work is not done. So the election is coming up in 2020. We need to put people in office, which I like to commend the county for the outstanding job that they're doing. I am so proud of all of them. So get these roads paved. Make it happen.
Okay, our next speaker is Patricia Hurd, and on deck is Alan Durmas.
$82. Better go and look that up. Can you find out what I owe $82 for?
Good afternoon. Hard act to follow. My name is Patricia Hurd, 822 Vernon Street, Daytona Beach. I'm here to let you know that I am working hard for the half-cents sale tax. I'm working hard, passing out papers, calling people, everything. But, with these papers out there in Zone 6, I don't see anything with MLK on it. I don't see anything with Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard on it, and I've been speaking about that forever. So hopefully, when you all get my tax money, more of it, and everybody else, that you will do something with MLK. I spoke on Channel 1 restaurant before, right? Okay, tell them to clean the yards out there. I told you this was going to happen, and they're not keeping that place clean. The next one, there are 2 stores with hangouts, one on MLK and MMBB. Guys, pants hanging, and everything else, stand in front of these 2 stores basically all day long. My question is, what can you all do with the owners and letting these guys hang out all day and the places are dirty? They're filthy. That's bringing my neighborhood down. Again, mixed neighborhood. I don't know where that come from, but I'm not with it when it comes down to 18-wheelers parked in the neighborhood and everything. They got to go. Thank you, and have a blessed Easter weekend. And Mayor, I heard about you, okay? You're missing your calling.
I've been hearing that since I was 5 years old, Ms. Hurd. You're probably right.
Our next speaker is Alan Demarest, and on deck is Linda Smiley.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commission. Thank you very much for the time. I'm here on behalf of the residents on Mullally Street here in Daytona Beach, Commissioner May's area, and thank you for being on top. I heard last meeting you did question about what our neighbors and I have tagged Operation Mushroom, and that is the unwanted sober houses that are popping up like mushrooms in our neighborhood. Within the last half a year, 3 have popped up on our street, which is only a block long. And it's to my understanding that one of the houses is claiming ADA. My family has had a house on the street since 1987. I've either done maintenance or managed most of the houses on the street there, so I know them all inside and out. There's not a house on the street that is ADA compliant. And so I'm here to give a little bit of information to the commission pertaining to the sober houses and what have you. Our neighborhood has a few concerns, three are top. One is the safety. First of all, I want to commend the men and women that are in the sober houses for their sobriety. I myself in June have been sober for 3 years, so I commend them for that. But at the same time, a sober house is a business, and our street is not regulated for sober houses or business. It is residential. So the regulation is missing there. If they're wanting to claim that they can be there for ADA, they are not compliant. I challenge the code enforcement to check that out. I'd be more than willing to introduce them to the houses that are in question. The code violations, the first one right off the top of the hand is the amount of people living in the houses. The one house that is on 216 Mullally it's a 3-bedroom house. I've done some renovation in that house prior to it being sold to the person that opened it up as a sober house. I put water out to the garage for washer and dryer. They now have 10 people living in the garage. It's a 3-bedroom home, and there's multiple people in each room. There's a total of 12 people just in that one property. It is causing a safety issue. We've already had two safety
Can-
issues.
Time's up.
And the break-in,
Your time's up. You just have to
Can
come
I ask
back.
a question, sir? May I ask a question?
Go ahead, you
Okay.
can ask them a question.
We are addressing this. I listened to everything, the city manager, the city attorney, the other attorney. We've been researching it, and we are working towards something. So rest assured that as we move forward, we will let you know, but we are doing something.
and I'd be more than willing to be the spokesperson for the neighborhood for any questions that the commission and the mayor might have.
We appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much.
But she is right, and we know what's going on, and we want to do something about it, but we have to be within the law. You remember?
I understand,
Okay.
and so do they, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Linda Smiley, and on deck is Jenny Nazak.
Linda Smiley, 357 Manhattan. Rob, the bike crawl that you were talking about was put on by the Ocean Deck. It's not the first one, probably won't be the last one, and they must have had to get a permit for it. Affordable housing, attainable housing, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad we're finally talking about it. I hope we do more than just talk about it, though. It's something that I've come up here to this podium over the last several years, once a month, and spoken about. And this is the first time that this commission is starting to speak about it. So I'm glad that we're starting to speak about it, but I hope we do more than lip service for it. I also think that the city should talk about the housing needs, maybe at the round table when there's other cities there. I will say the city of Daytona is poorly represented at that meeting, but you do have the chance to go there and speak up about that. That would be a great place since you have all the cities in the county there. The sober houses. They're on North Street as well. There's 3 houses right on the corner of North and Mulberry. My ex-husband lives next door to one of, in the vicinity of all of them. He said that in one house there's 20 people living there. In the other house there's over 10. They've got them figured out exactly how many they can put in each room. I know those houses are only 3 bedrooms. The one house, I don't even think it's 3 legal bedrooms. But anyway, I have people that live next door to me at my house, and they're 3 college students. My understanding is that only 3 unrelated people can live in a house. So I don't know how this is getting by, but anyway. VA Museum. I had the pleasure of going with 2 other members of C4RD to walk the VA Museum, and it is truly a hidden gem in our city. And if you haven't been there, you need to take the chance, the time to go there. It's all done by volunteers. It's a beautiful place. They've done a great job, and it's something that I really encourage you to think about, maybe letting them use the recreation center for it as a starting point, you know. But since we're going to have the memorial, something nearby could be set up for them. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jenny Nazak, and on deck is Ted Hordecki.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey Avenue. My comments this week are mainly about the environment because it is Earth Day week, and there's lots of Earth Day events going on in our area. I'll be at the Ormond Beach one tomorrow, but Daytona Beach is having an Earth Day in downtown Daytona Beach for the first time in years. Daytona Beach is having an Earth Day because I decided to organize one, and I decided like 2 weeks beforehand, but I grew up in a military family and we're used to like deciding stuff and organizing stuff, so I'm doing it. It's going to be at Cinematique from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday, the actual Earth Day. Everybody's invited. I want to thank my commissioner, Juanita May, for caring about the environment. Commissioner May hooked me up with a speaking engagement at the Breakers Environmental Learning Center, which shout out to the Breakers Environmental Learning Center. Dr. Durham and Carla Boswell are educating the public about the environment with talks about, they're bringing in experts to talk about birds, snakes, how to ocean-friendly garden. That's actually, I'm going to give that talk. And I gave a talk about permaculture, and also I got to be on the Daytona Beach radio show talking about green, and it's going to be sort of a regular thing. So green, the environment, it's not this pristine, abstract thing over here and the people are over here. Humans and the environment existing side by side. The best cities with the best economic development are the ones that really care about their trees and environment. So I'm looking forward to helping our city solve municipal problems and making our lives richer by letting nature do the heavy lifting. And there's a lot we can do. The bicycle pub crawl was amazing. It encouraged so many people to get out into the environment. And I actually got to go this year. I usually have had to work. So it was so much fun. And people from out of town, lots of them were there, and lots of residents were there. And if we had a few complaints, hopefully we can work those out. We need more people getting outside and moving. You know, if we're going to live to a ripe old age, we need to be out there moving. I want to say thank you for my neighbor John Nicholson for talking about the importance of the diversity of trees. Thank you all.
Thank you.
If I may say something before the next person comes up, Jenny, we're getting these reports now that we've requested from the manager, and in this report, perhaps you don't have a copy. It says City moves Earth Day to Campbell Middle School. So we've been hosting. Said after years of hosting the popular event at Ortona Elementary School, the city's annual Earth Day celebration is moving to Campbell Middle School to engage older youth by combining cutting-edge technology with some old school practices.
Right.
It's on Friday.
Right, and I'm going to be
11:30.
at that one too.
Okay, so don't say we haven't had
That's right.
one.
I'm so sorry. It hasn't been a thing that's been open to the public. I'm
It's been
sorry
for
about
the-
that.
for the
It's
elementary
basically
age
for the
kids.
school.
Right.
But that's correct. I
So
didn't
yours
mean
would be
to.
more for the public.
Yes, I'm
And
sorry about that. For the
can I
public.
ask-
So,
go ahead, Mr.
so
Chisholm.
now we have two. That's even better.
okay.
That makes Daytona Beach even better.
We,
Go ahead.
we've been doing this for years
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
the elementary schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jenny, can I ask a question while you're sorry? Who paid for the Cinematique thing that you're doing?
That would be the Daytona Beach Permaculture Guild.
And who would that be, Jenny?
At the moment, me.
That would be you. So you paid for this by yourself to do it at Cinematique?
Yes.
And is it a free event to the public?
It is a free event to the public. There's going to be free herbal tea from an excellent small. There's going to be information tables and
Okay.
vendors, and I'm going to be showing film clips, not like full-length movies because that's licensing thing, but I'll be showing film clips about really solution-oriented environmental stuff. Like instead of the drastic situation, it's going to be all about solution, and it's scalable from like the household level to all the way up to our municipal biggest challenges.
And so Jenny, even though I'm the only commissioner on the commission that has no funds, but I do have a business downtown. And so on behalf of my business, I'm going to write you a check to help support that event because I appreciate the fact that on your own as a resident, you took it upon yourself, you saw a need, and then you did something about it. And so positions like that, I support. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. I wanted to get the people who don't like to go out at night, but also I wanted to be able to get the people who have to work all day. So I split it 9-3. And 9-3 has great meaning because 9-3 is how we should be cutting our palm trees if we cut them at all.
Super. Good.
9-3.
See you Monday.
Yes.
You are Jewel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She really is.
Before, Madam Clerk, before you say the next name, I'd like to have a point of correction, Commissioner May. You're not the only person that doesn't have money.
you too?
I'm very generous, and that's why I don't have any.
I don't have any.
If you saw the report we got last week, Commissioner
Not the
Traeger
only
only
one.
has $2. Commissioner
God.
Delgado has no money. I have no money. And anybody I didn't name has money.
Okay, you ready?
So
I have no money,
not the only
but I have a
person that doesn't have
business.
money. Otherwise, I would contribute as well. Jenny's a breath of fresh air for our city.
Yes, you are.
Hi, my name's Ted Hordecki. I live at 113 Braddock Avenue. I'm here representing Beachside Neighborhood Watch, and I'm looking for money. But that being said, years ago there was a gentleman named Tommy G who started feeding the police officers, traffic people, and municipal workers on Main Street during Bike Week events. And we're still doing it. And as of the last Bike Week, Tommy G's no longer to do it, but Beachside Neighborhood Watch wants to continue doing it. It ends up that Fridays and Saturdays of both events, we feed 150 people a day, and it usually breaks down to 900 to 1,000 people for the the weekends of those bike events. And all the donations are from the neighborhood. We pass the bucket at our meetings. We feed about 150 a day. It costs us about $2.50. And we got hamburgers, hot dogs, potato salad, pop, desserts. A lot of stuff is donated. So this year, instead of waiting and then keep putting the bite on the same people every year, we're going to start collecting all year round. So we need to make $187 a month to make our thing. And I was looking this year, I could drop off packets. Anybody would like to donate any of their bike funds. We're also going to start, as a board, we're going to come up. We want to also start feeding the firemen and beach patrol, because there's beach patrols at 12-hour shifts, so we could feed one shift. The police department, we feed 2 or 3 shifts, and I'd like to do one shift at the fire department, just on Fridays and Saturdays of the bike events. And so if anybody could see their way to donating, it's a good cause. And anybody who donates, we'll give you a shot. You can come and work the grill. And that does look good on a resume, just so you know. But next week sometime, I'm going to drop off a letter with our information about our tax, this and that. But it's a good cause. Even the chief is kicking in this year. So everybody's kicking in. So, yeah, we're gonna, and like I say, and now we're gonna incorporate the fire department, and it's rough for these guys to go out during bike week to get food.
All right,
So,
did you hear, we're doing 1,000, so you got $1,500 tonight. How much you say you needed? 2,000? So
we need 2,250.
you're almost there.
But, well, yeah, but we're gonna keep collecting, because we're gonna, you know, I always wanna be
Ahead.
So that way we never struggle.
Give us your information about your company and all.
Okay.
All right.
And thank you.
Hey, thank
Pleasure.
you.
Pleasure, Mr. Renadecki. Okay, our next speaker is Dora Lewis, and on deck is Ann Ruby.
My name is Dora Lewis, Daytona Beach, United States. Where do I begin? This is always so interesting. The bicycles with alcohol on them, completely against it. The entire reason why is because most automobiles won't stop for a bicycle. So you're inviting a situation that might happen with alcohol on a bicycle. The very first thing the police officers are going to say, was it alcohol related? The driver of the bicycle is going to do exactly what the attendants ask them to do. You can't regulate this. How can you regulate this? Completely against it. And this is going to become an ordinance and a law. Trust me, you're asking for a nightmare. Mr. Attorney over here doesn't even know if it's going to be beer, wine, or completely hard liquor. He even asked the commission during the commission meeting tonight, how hard you going to go with this? In his own words. So where does this go from there? You cannot regulate bicycles. You can't regulate a 15-person bicycle. You can't regulate a 1-person bicycle. How are you going to do this? You going to follow bicycles around? Mr. Chief, you gonna follow a bicycle around? I won't wear a helmet on the bicycle. This is a nightmare you're asking for. Mr. Mayor, I race automobiles for a living. Trust me, you're asking for a nightmare.
Who's your brother?
Our final speaker tonight is Ann Ruby.
Say the best for last.
Hi, Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. I have just a couple of really quick things. When you guys were discussing the hop cycle and amending it, I think I heard somebody say maybe include one Daytona, but when you were summing up, somebody just said the Speedway, that wasn't included. So just, you know, if you want to include one Daytona, you might want to think about that.
It was suggested.
It was suggested, but when I heard the summing up, I didn't hear it. That's okay.
The intention was one day,
Cool.
and it was said
Excellent.
earlier, so.
Okay, good. So, what is the date time frames for that contract for the Orange Avenue Rec Center contractor? Because that RFQ was,
Negotiating right now.
okay, but that's almost 2 months since the bids were accepted.
I'm telling you where it's at now.
Okay, all right. So do you have an idea when that will be done? Okay. And then the Orange Avenue Rec Center, using it for the veterans would be phenomenal. I mean, they get anywhere from, I think they said $4,000 to $5,000 visitors last year, and they're expecting almost double that next year. So that would be phenomenal. And then the other question I have is how much are we collecting, how much have we actually been able to collect that we can transfer to the tax program from the county? Anything? Have we paid? Are we using that program, I guess is what I'm asking.
What program?
The program where if the city has to pay money to bring something into compliance, we can add it to the tax bill. Have we done any of that this year? The code liens. They're not, yeah, but it's only for things that the city has to pay for, isn't it?
I don't think we've done it, haven't
Okay.
filed any yet, but that's something to be done, to be in.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. There are no other speakers?
That was our final speaker.
Good night, Daytona Beach.